Okay, now we're going live. And here we are. So yeah, sorry about that.
Hello.
I hope you can hear us
Hello,
now.
everybody. I'm sorry. We took a while. We had technical problems. But we're here, and hopefully you can all hear us and see us. I'm Tanya Kersey, and I'm here with Ben Yennie. And this is the top 5 tips to successfully navigating the American film market. And let me introduce myself first. I'm the Filmmaker Success Mentor, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Hollywood Black Film Festival. It's in its 15th year. I work with filmmakers to help them get their film made in terms of coaching them and mentoring and things like that. And every year I do an intensive to get my clients ready for the American film market. And this year I said, why don't I do it for a larger group of people? Because, I see filmmakers at the market and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. They say they're going to get money or to find music partners or, to network, but, it's usually just a huge failure because there's no preparation. And that's why I do what I do. And so I decided to get Mr. Ben. Ben is like the authority on film markets. He wrote the book. He's a producer, an executive producer. He's a producer's rep. The man is just all about independent filmmakers. He runs a company called Producers Foundry up in the Bay Area. And he's got a new company, which you definitely have to check out, which is called Production Next. And I kind of call it the Facebook of the independent film world, but it's got even more stuff in it. So, and I'm sure Ben will tell you about that. So, hello, Ben.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you for that glowing introduction, Tanya. We are, as she said, I am an entrepreneur, executive producer, and producer's rep. I wrote the first ever book on film markets, and I also have executive produced or found distribution for at least 12 films in the last 4 years, and I co-founded a company called Production Next, which is actually a project management system for independent film as well, that has a lot of social capacity to it to help you find the stuff you need as well as manage the stuff you need.
Great.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we're glad you guys all got here. You can say hello, you can post your questions that you may have. At the end, we're going to do a Q&A, and we'll answer all of your questions about the American film market. And before we get started, I just want to say that, the American film market is such a huge event. And for me, I think every filmmaker should be there because, if you're making films, you either need distribution, you need a sales rep, you need to meet people, all of those things. And this is where tens of thousands of people come together, buyers of films, distributors, studios, networks, everybody is there. And, I just think, and I hope you guys will really take it serious and think about attending this year. We're going to tell you about a program that we have going towards the end that will help you be prepared for attending the market. And just, listen to these tips and really take them to heart because this stuff will really help you. And I think the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to, number one, figure out what your goal is. Why do you want to go to the American film market? What do you want to accomplish? And I think once you know that, then you'll know which direction to go in. So that's kind of my intro. I don't know, do you have a little intro piece that you want to say, Ben?
No, I think you basically covered it.
Okay,
so
good.
Yeah.
Terrific. Okay, so we're going to get started. And tip number 1 is to research and, okay.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant. So yeah, before we actually get into the tips, why don't we go over a little bit of what the market is and who goes, all of that stuff, because the tips don't mean a lot without actually having a lay of the land. So basically, the American film market is the America's, not the world's, America's largest gathering of film producers, distributors and sales agents that gather for the point of buying and selling films. It's probably the biggest film market in the U.S. The only reason I say probably is that if you start expanding to media, NAPTI and NAB are pretty big as well. But they primarily focus on more episodic content and television content, whereas the American film market is traditionally about genre films. So it started back in the 80s as a way of buying and selling VHS rights, and the only reason it's important that you know that is it informs how the market itself is structured, and the idea behind film markets like AFM is for sales agents and distributors to buy and sell rights for various territories around the world. And that is the very basics of what it is in terms of what... and it happens at the Lowe's Santa Monica Beach Hotel in Santa Monica, and it's somewhere between the Santa Monica Pier and Venice Beach. It generally happens the first week in November, runs Wednesday to Wednesday, but never starts earlier than October 31st. This year it starts on October 31st.
And runs through November 7th, right?
Exactly. And and last thing before we get into the tips, if our goals for going should always be to develop relationships with sales agents and executive producers. This is particularly important if you have a development stage project. If you have a completed film, you should be trying to license it to a sales agent so they can sell it. And if you also have the relationships with the sales agents and executive producers, but don't have a completed film, you may want to see about getting a letter of intent from a sales agent for that development stage film. And now, I'm sorry I accidentally cut you off, Tanya. Why don't you get started?
No, that's good. And since you started down that road, which I think is great, let's give them a taste of the land, what it's like, because, you just hear about it. And the good thing is AmericanFilmMarket.com has a lot of information and, videos, so you can kind of get a feel for it. But let me just say that, when you go, you'll notice in the lobby of the let me explain what it is. They take the entire hotel and turn it into offices. So all of the hotel sleeping rooms are now offices for all of these distributors and sales agents. And when you get a pass, you can get onto those selling floors and you can actually walk into the office for all these people. It's crazy, So I don't understand why anybody would just go just to network. You need to go get a pass, get up on the floors and try to meet people and get appointments. And that's what, me and Ben are, going to talk about in terms of, really preparing yourself for it. But things have changed. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about how they've changed in terms of the layout. You used to be able to just go in, and now you can't do as much as you used to without a pass. So everyone kind of congregates in the lobby, and you'll just see filmmakers, hundreds of filmmakers sitting around talking and chatting. And that's what I don't want you guys to do, because that's what I call busy work. You really have to go with a plan and a strategy and know who you're going to meet, set it up and do all those things instead of just going down and hanging out at the hotel. So that's something that I just wanted to say, because I know a lot of filmmakers, they say, I'm going to the market, and they're going to hang out in the lobby, and you want to do more, and you can do more. And there's also a lay of the land in terms of what's on what floors and what days are the best. And I guess we're going to go over that in the tips, Ben, right? Or you're going to talk about that?
No, that's actually not fully in the tips, but I can talk about that.
Okay. So talk about the floors and what's the best days when they're writing business, and so, and also what the basement looks like, because that's where all the indies that are hungry are.
Yeah, so the big thing is, like Tanya said, more of the hotel used to be open without a badge. The biggest thing that's changed is that you need a badge to get to the pool area. That was not always the case, but now it is, and it makes a pretty big difference to the amount of space in the lobby. The lobby gets a lot more crowded. But when you enter from the street, you actually enter on the 4th floor because it's built on a hill. And the back first floor basically just drops you out pretty much right on the beach. And the second and third floors are the really indie sales agents who are kind of small, but you can get some really good sales agents there. I've actually had an office on the 3rd floor a couple years, and it's a good way to get the office where you can meet people and meet with buyers and take those meetings while not having to charge insane amounts of recoupable expenses. Most of the sales agents I know that operate on the 2nd and 3rd floor operate with $5,000 to $10,000 in recoupable expenses. There are a lot of exceptions to this, and that is by no means a hard and fast rule, but the ones that I know and that I work with regularly, that's about where they end up. I'm not going to name drop. When you get back up to the 4th floor, the 4th floor is the lobby. It's completely accessible without a badge. Well, not completely. Part of it is accessible without a badge. Another part of it is not, including the pool area, and there are also offices on the 4th floor. On the 5th floor, there are some offices, and about half of it is accessible without a badge, and there's a lot of film commissions, some film schools, some software companies, and a couple of other places that are accessible on the 5th floor. The 6th, 7th...
Tourist boards, things like that. Commissions.
Yep. And the 6th, 7th, and 8th floors are all pretty much entirely inaccessible without a badge. And they have the bigger sales agencies there. The 8th floor has the biggest sales agencies. That's where, like, Lionsgate is. The company has had offices there in the past, but they haven't been for the last couple years, and that was also before they became the now infamous Weinstein Company. But there is a lot of but the big players are on the 8th floor, is the point I'm trying to make. And yeah, that's the very essence of it. And
that's good information to have, because that's, most people don't get that anywhere. You have to go and understand it. And so it's great that, he's sharing this information with you so that you at least know the lay of the land and have an idea where you want to go depending on what your goals are for the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so that is the basics there. I think that's everything we need to know before we get started on the tips. So.
Okay, and just for people to know that we are going live on a couple of places. We're going live on Tanya Kersey fan page. We're going live on Guerrilla Media Rep page. We're going live in the Breakthrough Filmmaker Success Support Group, on the Hollywood Black Film Festival page, and where else, Ben, just so people know where they can go and where you can ask questions, or maybe just on your page. What are we doing about that?
You can ask questions anywhere, but we're going to get to it faster if you ask it on my page, because it feeds directly into what I'm watching as we're live streaming. But we are monitoring everything. It just might take longer if you ask it anywhere except Facebook.com/TheGorillaRep. And
The Gorilla Rep, guys. Facebook.com/TheGorillaRep. That's where the best place to ask questions is.
Yes, and I believe there might have been some confusion in Tanya's breakthrough group. I don't know if anybody ended up posting this link there. It should have posted automatically, but I am not 100% sure on that. If you could check that, Audrey, that'd be great. Audrey is our wonderful virtual assistant for the night. So yeah. Yeah, and I think it looks like everyone can hear us now. So
okay,
good.
Okay, so let's get started. The first tip we have is about research and preparation. And, for me, that's the big thing is you can do anything that you want to. You can accomplish whatever goal you want to if you're prepared, and you know what you're doing. If you're not prepared, it could be a huge waste of time. And I think that if you are, spending money to buy a pass, and especially if you're traveling to LA and doing all of that, you don't want to just invest in coming and going. You want to invest in being prepared. And so making sure that you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's, you know exactly what you need to take, all the materials and stuff, who you need to reach out beforehand, and, and exactly the role of the sales agent and distributor. And I'm going to let you take that one, Ben, to explain, what's
the difference between the two?
Yeah. And kind of, in terms of preparing, you guys have to think, what are you looking for? What do you need for your film project right now? If it's complete, you obviously need distribution or a sales agent, someone to sell it to all the territories. And Ben's going to explain how that works, because I know those are just words people throw out there, and everyone doesn't necessarily understand how that works. You may just have a script, and you're looking for cast, and a good way to find cast at the market is to go in all the suites and look at all the posters and see who's out there, who's doing independent work out there. That's a great way to see, who's out there and what people are buying. You may want to find money and producing partners. And so that's all part of the networking process, and knowing who's there and doing what you need to do to reach them.
Mm-hmm.
Ben?
Yeah, so the biggest difference between a sales agent and a distributor is that a distributor takes the film or the content directly to the end user. So a big example of a distributor would be Starz or HBO, or AMC is technically a distribution channel. A sales agent generally interfaces and sells the rights to the territory, to each of the distributors for each different territory around the world. Now, depending on how you slice it, there's around 30 or 40 different territories that you could sell it to. And you don't want to be doing that yourself as a sales agent or as a filmmaker. You want to work with a competent sales agent who can help you sell these different territories so you don't have to. And a distributor generally handles the a buyer generally ends up handling the distribution for a single territory, like the U.S. or the U.K. or most of Africa is a single
Canada,
territory.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally the U.S. and Canada are linked. And North America is just considered its own territory because there's so much bleed between the two. One exception to this can be French Canada, which is sometimes sold with France. But that doesn't happen as much as it used to. So the big thing is... So yeah, that's the basics of the difference. There are a couple of other players you might want to know about. There are also executive producers, producers of marketing and distribution, or PMDs, and producers reps. Now, a lot of these people, all three of these different titles share the same basic job description. A PMD, a producer's rep will help negotiate with a sales agent for you. They may also play a role in marketing. A producer of marketing and distribution will sometimes do a little bit of a producer's rep's work, but focuses more heavily on marketing. And an executive producer either finds money to make the film, or they help bring money back to the film. Normally when I work on a film as a producer's rep, I take an executive producer credit. So, yeah.
Let me ask you something, Ben. I'm asking you the question now. If you could kind of explain, I know there are a lot of people out there that instead of taking a commission, they want to get paid. I mean, like 10, 15, 20, or crazy amounts of money. Talk a little bit. Is that legitimate? Or, is that like a con game or something out there? Because you're not really getting anything guaranteed. And, draft, and kind of like a producer's draft, and they said they'll take it around, but they need you to pay up front.
I would not spend that money if I were you. Generally.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
I want to hear it from you. I agree totally.
No, so I will be completely transparent in that I do offer fee-based services, but most of those are for things like helping you write a business plan or a marketing plan or a festival strategy or anything along those lines that in the end of it you get a actionable document out of it instead of just, oh, I'm gonna go and talk to people. No, that's not what I charge for. I never charge for just brokering a film like that. So, but there
so
are
the reps, they get paid commissions. What's the normal commission you should be paying, say, a sales agent or a producer's rep? Is that all negotiable?
They're different. It's different depending on who you're talking to. Like a sales agent charges more than a producer's rep, and but sometimes you will end up paying both of those commissions. A good producer's rep charges between 5 and 15%. On deals negotiated with an international distributor. Sometimes they'll charge up to 20 on a domestic deal, but that's because they're cutting out the sales agent on that, so you actually end up paying less. That's a lot of my business model, although I'm actually moving into direct U.S. distribution myself. So there's not even so it ends up saving you even more. A sales agent will charge between 20 and 35%. Generally, the average is around 25 to 30. If they charge much more than 30, you probably want to reconsider working with that sales agent, unless they have a really good reason for charging over 30. Like if they're not charging recoupable expenses, then charging 30 to 35% is not the worst, because there's no recoupables, and you get paid from the first sale. But, yeah, so that's the basics there. A producer's rep also shouldn't have recoupable expenses. If they're acting as a distributor, they might, but if they're just connecting you to sales agents, they shouldn't have recoupables. I know I don't charge recoupables for that service. But, yeah.
Talk a little bit about budgets and genres in terms of preparing and doing your research.
So yeah, AFM is pushing a lot of stuff lately that honestly I haven't read the articles, but they keep being served to me. I just have been really busy this week and haven't had the time, but they're talking more about the breakout potential of low-budget dramas, and every sales agent I talk to thinks they're crazy. So, but I don't know. Maybe there's data that makes sense for that, but I haven't reviewed it.
What's the implications of that? What's the implications of that for the independent filmmaker? If that's true.
If it's, I am not swatted up on this, so I don't even want to address that, because it would just basically mean that there's a new genre that they could work with. But generally, when people at AFM say when certain people say low budget, they mean different than what you or I would likely mean. If you're talking about ultra low budget, like under $250,000, which is most of the films that come across my desk, you really don't want to deal with dramas at all. You want to deal with family movies, thrillers, and if you can do it, an action would be great. Even horror's not as good as it used to be because the market finally got saturated. It took a long time for it to get saturated, but it did.
It did.
But it is finally there.
It's kind of a good thing because everybody was making horror films at one time because it was such, an inexpensive genre to create. And I mean, you would go to AFM and it was like every other office would have horror film pictures. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
What about sci-fi?
Sci-fi, I don't consider sci-fi a genre. I consider it a subgenre. And because so sci-fi could be an action, it could be a thriller, it could be a horror, it could be any of these other things. It's more of a setting than it is an actual genre. But the last time I talked to a couple of sales agents about it, they said sci-fi, if it doesn't look insanely cheap, is generally pretty good. So, but you can also have family movies that are sci-fi. Again, there's basically the way I draw the line between genre and subgenre is genre is specific about the way the film is made. Like, is it an action? Is it a horror? Is it a thriller? all of those. And a subgenre is either a setting or an interest group. Like fantasy would be a subgenre. Fantasy is also fairly in. Adventure is a subgenre. And you can have more than one subgenre, but it's really difficult to cross genres. So,
and what about, because I know a lot of my followers and people that are on the line are filmmakers of color, specifically Black filmmakers, but also Latino and Asian American. Talk a little bit about the opportunities for diverse filmmakers at AFM.
Okay. Yeah, there are opportunities and they are growing. However, right now the market is more friendly to it domestically than it is internationally. There are certain countries it's very difficult to export urban films to, and I don't mean anything other than saying something factually by saying that. It's weird what you wouldn't. It's weird the sort of things that make it not easy to distribute a film. One of them is, some of them are just about cultural differences and weird idiosyncrasies that make certain genres and certain stories very hard to export. And I think this is changing. I'm not completely sure, but I think it's changing. I think it's becoming a more friendly market to export for. But until very recently, it has been much. Your domestic market has been a much bigger slice of the pie than it would have been otherwise if you distribute what is normally called by these sorts of circles an urban film. So,
I think it's important to note here also that and we're going to be talking about an intensive that we've partnered on doing. And, if you have films of a certain genre, that's where, you can get our specific feedback on your specific project. Because I know people probably, now that we're talking genres, they're probably saying, what about this? What about that? We'll try to answer in Q&A as much as we can. But, keep your eyes open for the intensive program because that's going to be really cool and that's going to be really personal. So you get, hand touching. It's you get actual direction and advice on your specific project.
You are correct.
Okay, so let's see. We're on tip number 2, which is
what is tip number 2? I don't have my cheat sheet up.
Can you hear me, Ben?
I can hear you. Yes, I was muttering to myself.
Oh, you don't. Tip number 2, Ben, is
the contact in advance.
Contact
Got
in
you.
advance.
Yep.
Yes.
So so contact in advance, especially if you have a completed film. It will serve you very, very well to contact in advance. A lot of sales agents are looking for films to sell at AFM about 6 weeks before the market starts. If you're contacting a producer's rep instead of a sales agent, they'll probably need to be more like 8 weeks so you can finalize with them, and then they can get it to the sales agent so it's placed and ready for the market. If you get anything closer than starting the negotiation process at 4 weeks out, it's very difficult to close it with enough time for them to actually market it. The hard cutoff for what they can market is normally 2 weeks out. And if you've got a full month before, you're in a much better position and are more likely to make some sales at the first market. Although, generally, you don't make sales at your first market. They just kind of look at it, they kick the tires a bit, and then you might make a couple sales at following markets. It's a weird industry.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what you just said. Because I don't think everybody necessarily understands that whole process. We were talking about, contacting them and why, and explain, in terms of contacting, what are you contacting and why?
So if you're contacting about a completed film, you're looking for them to sell your film on your behalf, and generally they have to act as your agent, and there's a fair amount of paperwork involved in that. When you're reaching out to them, you should look more into them and say, and see what sort of films they've distributed in the past, what films they're selling at this market, if it's been announced yet, if it hasn't been, what was the last market, the major market before AFM is Cannes, And if you want to see, and if you see what they sold at con, it's generally a good indicator of what they're likely to sell at AFM. And you also want to be looking specifically for what budget ranges and genres they normally work with. Certain sales agents sell certain genres better than others. There is one sales agent I still work with quite frequently, and they're fantastic people, that focuses solely on horror films. Not solely, but primarily on horror films, and I've got 2 films with them right now. Most sales agents also have a general budget range they work in. It's a different process to sell a $200,000 film versus a $5 million film, just like you wouldn't want to sell Armani at Walmart. Yeah, so regarding contacting them in advance, if you end up taking the intensive, we're actually offering a couple of advanced tracking templates and other templates to help you with this. But basically, all you want to do is say, "Here's my film." You do want to include a Vimeo link. You do want to include a password for that. You don't want to, if they have a form on their website, use the form on their website. If they ask for certain things, give them those certain things.
Give them certain, right, exactly.
Don't just give them to your, don't just direct them to the press page of your website and say email for screeners.
Right.
No, just give them all of it because they don't have a lot of time. I may be speaking from experience here. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the basics of tip 2. It's just be short, be concise. Don't waste their time. They don't have much of it, and they get a lot of submissions. I'm not a sales agent. I don't get as many submissions as sales agents do, but I get between 1 and 5 submissions a week, even when it's not around market time. So it takes a lot to get through those.
Let me add to that, and I think, part of not wasting their time is being clear on who you want to reach out to and knowing that, they are working in an area that your film is a match. You don't want to just go in to a sales agent or to a distributor because you've heard their name and heard they're good. You want to make sure that, they do business in that budget range and that genre. If you're looking for international, you want to make sure they do international. So part of that preparation and research is just a lot of upfront work to make sure that you've got the right people on your list that can really make things happen. Because if you don't, then you don't sell your film. So it's really important to make sure that you do all of that research beforehand, and you know exactly, who you're going after and why.
You are not wrong, and that is the research is probably the biggest thing that will set you up for success at AFM, knowing what you're going in. I've gotten meetings just walking in because I was able to quote a line off their website and just say, why do you want to talk to us? You're looking for niche and transgenre pieces, aren't you? Yes, you read our website. Come in! But yeah, that wasn't exactly what the website said. It was more distinctly worded than that, but it's been like 7 years, so I don't remember. I think we're good for tip 3.
We didn't do tip 3. That's where we are.
I mean, I think we're good to move on to tip 3, I should say.
Okay, good.
But,
that one's yours.
Yes. So this one is know your position. Think I could do it out of memory, but I don't necessarily want to. So Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, if you know neither your position nor your enemy's position, you will succumb to every battle you face. If you know only your position but not your enemy's position, for every victory you earn, you will suffer a defeat. But if you know both your position and your enemy's position, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. And that was out of memory. But
that's from Art of War?
That's from The Art of War. So it's a very poignant point. And basically what it means is know what sales agents, what I mean by it at least, is know what sales agents are looking for. Know what position they're in. Know that there are a lot more filmmakers than there are competent sales agents, or even competent producers reps. And know that as soon as you start approaching them at the market, by the time you start talking to them, which should be in the last couple days of the market, because they want to sell first before they start talking to filmmakers, they're going to be tired because they'll have been in half-hour meetings for 10 hours a day for 5 days before you talk to them. It's exhausting.
And that's a great point. That's a great point because, especially if you're on a budget and you want to figure out which badges you want, you definitely don't want to go at the beginning of the market because remember, they're there to do a different kind of a business. And so that's what they're doing. They're writing their own business the first 5 days or so. And so the best days for the independent filmmaker are towards the end, after they've written their business and they have a time to, actually consider what you're doing. You can go early, but, personally, I think that wait a couple of days because I just think it's kind of intrusive when you know that they're there doing business for themselves and for the films that they already rep. So, you wouldn't want somebody to walk in and take up all the time from your sales agent who's trying to do business. So give it a couple of days, go towards that first weekend, and, then go prepare. But, definitely, these are the little nuances that people don't know. And if you don't know, then, they can really thwart you moving ahead and having success. So, the days that you go, and also the times are important as well. That's a good point.
So, yeah, the other thing to think about there is normally I say you should go for the entire market. It's become, but you should only get a badge for the last 3 or 4 days. Because you're not going to need it before then, and you'll be able to get your networking in the lobby out, and you'd be surprised who you can meet doing that. I've gotten meetings late in the week just by networking in the lobby. This has happened several times. The first distribution deal I ever got for that, which ended up not working out because it was an early stage film and we never completed it. That's a whole different story that I'm nowhere near drunk enough to tell. That is a...
But we're going to talk about networking in the intensive, so that's a big part.
So,
talking about how to network, how to successfully network at the market, because there's a trick to it. Everyone says, "I want to network with you," but what does that mean? What do you need to do? How do you need to be prepared? How do you talk to people? And that's all something that we're going to talk about in the intensive, so that you're really prepared when you go to not only, go to your meetings and you have all your materials together, but you know how to hang out in the lobby. And, you kind of have to talk to people and know that, okay, I don't need to talk to them anymore. I need to move on, so that you don't waste a whole lot of time, on a person that's may not be able to serve you in the way that you're looking for. So just making smart networking choices.
You're right, but you also have to be very careful to not push past people too quickly and be polite when you do it. I've had people when I was early.
Absolutely.
I've had people not do that earlier, and I haven't seen them around since they didn't do that.
But you have to always, be very kind and all of those things. But you also, want to be smart in your networking. I know a couple of times, I got myself caught up, with talkers that were, it was not for me. I mean, I don't know why they were talking to me, but, I ended up spending a lot of time and wasting a lot of time. So you have to kind of learn how to move on and, just be really nice about it and friendly with everybody, because you never know what someone's going to be doing the next year and how they'll be able to help you. You don't want to make any enemies, for sure.
This is very true. So, yeah, that is good. Shall we move on to number 4?
Yes, number 4, which is developing a personal brand. Oh, that's a big one.
It really is. So, in the words of Alex Ferrari, the host of Indie Film Hustle, which you may or may not know, but you might want to if you don't. If you don't think you need a brand as a filmmaker, you're wrong. But I just really like that quote. So the brand is the culmination. Your brand is the culmination of every interaction you've had with a potential customer or a potential vendor. This can be anywhere as near as seeing them across the lobby, or actually sitting and having a meeting with them and actually interacting and talking to them and trying to sell them something. And if you don't, and you've got to be very careful on how you manage that, because your brand is absolutely vital when building business relationships. And so part of it is about your look. Part of it is about the way you present yourself and the way you talk. And a lot of it, more than anything, is about the way you speak with people and the way you treat people. And this feeds into what we were talking about before, which is about don't be rude. Even if you don't think somebody can help you, see if you can help them relatively quickly and just move on to the next person. Don't just snub them and say something like, "Oh, I'm not here to meet you. I'm here to meet sales agents and executive producers," and then walk away.
I can't see anybody really doing that.
That's happened to me more than once. But yeah, so that does happen, but don't do that. It's bad. Yeah.
And let me add something to the brand part. I think a lot of the branding is that you have a consistent narrative about who you are. What your project is, where you come from. You don't always just want to talk about the project. You want people want to know people in this industry. So, it's even like when you're down in the lobby networking, you want to be able to let people know who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, what's important to you. All that's part of branding. And so you want to have a consistent story. And like I always tell my clients, the big question they're going to ask you is, what do you do? What do you say? Or who are you? What do you do? You don't just say you're a filmmaker, because everybody says they're a filmmaker. So you've got to be able to embellish that and let people know who you are and how you stand apart. Because, I call filmmakers a sea of beige. And everybody looks the same. Everybody says they got the best script, the best idea, the best story. It's going to be a mega blockbuster hit, and everybody says that. So
don't say that, though.
Right, but I'm just saying, yeah, they do. But you know what I'm saying? They say that, but that's not the right thing to say, because everybody says it. So they know that, you're just kind of very green and don't know what you're doing. It's more than that. Especially don't say, my film is for everybody when someone says, what's the demographics? Oh my God. So you want to really know, what you're talking about and how you're talking about it. So that's where a lot of preparation comes in, as well as knowing your own story and knowing the story of your project and your career, so you can talk intelligently about it. That's part of your brand.
You are not wrong. So yeah, that's a lot of that. And also, again, but seriously though, don't say that your film is going to be the next major blockbuster, because you just lost a sale if you did. I hear that.
No, I wasn't saying. I wasn't saying.
No. I know you're not saying to say that, and you are saying that a lot of people do that.
Oh, okay.
And that is also true. I'm just saying, don't do that, because it's bad. Anyway, I think that's about it for branding. I could elaborate on this a bit, but I feel like we should move on.
Yeah, I do. And one other thing about your brand. Your brand is also how you articulate not just yourself, but your project. And another thing, people always seem to think that they have the best log line and the best summary. And I've been doing this, 20 years or so. And I find that that's not true. Most people think that they can pitch their project, but they really can't. And so you want to make sure that, part of your brand is being really smart about telling people what your project is about. So you're not, and you start to go into story as opposed to telling theme. So that's part of your brand because, people are going to look at you and judge you that way. So you want to make sure that, you just don't think that it's good that you've talked to people and you've gotten, some input from people who know that can help you shape that and form that so that it sounds good. So I think that's really important as well.
I agree. There's actually a very specific formula to an AFM style pitch, and in it takes less than 10 seconds, and you can expand it to 30 if they're interested. But in that time, you have to get the genre, the stage of development, what attachments you have, if any, the budget range, and the basic and the synopsis of it, the log line that gets the idea of the story. And you have to do that in 10 seconds.
And they'll find all that out in the intensive if they decide to sign up.
So right? Yeah, they will find all of that. That was just the. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but the yet. But
just knowing that stuff is important because if you don't know it, and you end up going and you don't know, the way that you're supposed to do a pitch, you don't get business done. So it's important that you know all this stuff. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and we're already at tip number 5, which is always follow up. And that's a big one for me because, people go out, just on a regular basis, networking and stuff, and you meet people, and 90% of the time, people don't follow up. You have an opportunity to meet people, so you have to have a plan for how you're going to follow up and reach out to them. And I always say that I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I just want to give you guys one little tip. And that is when you meet somebody, and you get their business card, you want to get their business card as opposed to you giving yours. Yeah, of course you can give yours as well. But you want to get there so that you have a way to contact them. You want to write on the back of it who they are, a little bit about your discussion, because after a couple of days at the market, everything kind of blends together and you may, forget what you guys talked about. And then that night, you want to immediately, just send a little email saying, great meeting you at the market. Good luck for the rest of the market, and I look forward to talking to you afterwards, or whatever it is. And we're going to give you templates and stuff on what to say, but that kind of thing. Follow up is so important because every time you touch them, they remember you a little bit more. So as much follow up as you can do is really important. And then I know Ben's going to talk about some of the specific things that you want to do in terms of the film market, in terms of following up to increase your chances of either getting a sales agent or a distributor or whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, so the basics of it are while emailing them that night works in general business. I don't generally do that at the market. I actually wait until the following week.
Oh, after the market, yeah, that's true.
Because,
I'm sorry, I meant that. I meant that actually, yeah. Because everybody's still doing work and everything. Everybody's still at the market, so you want to wait till afterwards. Absolutely. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah, but the normally I will do it technically the market runs Wednesday to Wednesday. Really, it runs Wednesday to Tuesday. Everybody's rolling stuff up by noon on Tuesday. Last year it was around Tuesday was hardly anything. But I had a couple of meetings, but half the market was closed down before noon. So once you follow up with them, just keep it light, remind them of everything you talked about, like Tanya said. If most of the time DVD screeners are not common anymore, there's a piracy risk that most sales agents just don't want to deal with. So a Vimeo screener in there just to make sure they have it, as well as basically resubmit your project even if you already gave them everything. Just do it after the market, and then follow up enough to keep them in mind and close out the business before the end of the year, but not enough to be a pain in the ass. And it's a little bit of a deft touch, but you can figure it out.
It definitely is. Like, a lot of filmmakers say that, they had, I met this person and everything was great and dandy, and they wanted to see this and see that. And when they get back after the market, they email them or call or, whatever means of communication they gave them, and it's dead silence. It's crickets. So you have to know how to definitely follow up. Don't get discouraged. They're looking at bigger pies, bigger films. Your smaller independent film may not be, the most important thing right now, but give them a chance. People, it takes a lot. You're doing a lot of business. These people, are seeing and talking to so many people, and you're going to find that out for yourself because you're going to have to talk to so many people too. You kind of have to prioritize, what's important for right now. So just, make sure that you take notes on everybody so that you can go back, and then when you do reach out, you have a frame of reference. It could be that you guys were talking about dogs. I mean, it could be anything. You're so great at this or so great at that. You want to be able to reference something that you talked about, and that seems to really work well and kind of be a little icebreaker. But just make sure that you really have that follow-up game on. And there is actually a step-by-step process that I put my clients through in terms of following up so that they get better results and, they have better follow-up.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I have specific things that I target myself with to make myself memorable. And the way I'm dressed now is not the way I would dress at the market, because I have a couple of branding things that help people remember me better. But yeah, so that's...
You want to share those?
I was sure. Yeah, I'm known as the guy with the fancy tie, kind of normally a Merovingian knot, which actually looks like my tie is wearing a tie, and and I also use other fancy ties. So basically, when I'm at AFM, I'm normally in a 3-piece suit and fancy tie, and
that's good to find something that makes you stick out, not like you're crazy or anything, but, something that's definitely defining of who you are. Some people, just are immaculately dressed. Some people have, funky grunge look. Be who you are. Be complete in who you are. And just make sure it's professional at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But, because I see sometimes, women, they're looking like they're clubbing. Literally with little dresses and stuff. That's not the way that you want to go. Little black dress, great if you're looking for a man, but not great if you're trying to, get business done with your project. So just keep it professional and, just look the part for you.
Yeah, sounds good. That was our 5 tips, I think.
Yeah, that is. How do you guys like those tips? That's, with those tips, you really should be able to, make some headway. I know we've got some questions. How do we want to do it with the questions so we can answer them, Ben? Let me talk about the intensive first, so that
I'll look and see what I can find for questions. I'm not seeing any on the original post, but I'll go do a roundup on the other posts to make sure I'm not missing any.
Okay, let me just give you guys an idea of what this intensive that we've been talking about is, and I'm just so incredibly excited about this because it's very limited. We only are going to have 20 filmmakers, but those 20 filmmakers are going to, how do I say it? They're going to have their game on when we're done with them. So it's a 4-week intensive. Like Ben said, this is coming up October 31st. So, we're almost a little bit late in starting this now. You've got to really prepare ahead of time. AFM is coming out with their exhibitor list and all that kind of stuff. And you want to start, like right now, like yesterday, and deciding, why are you going to the market? What do you want to get from it? Who do you want to meet? All that kind of stuff. So we're going to go over in the 4 weeks They're going to be live phone and video discussions. We're going to talk about establishing relationships to build your career, because that's really important. And you can do that at the market, start that at the market. We want you to know how to do that. How to get distribution for completed film. How to package a development stage film, which is really important. What does packaging mean? How to get your project in a state where you really have a chance of financing. I mean, I know everybody wants to know that. What do you need to have? What do you need to bring to the market in terms of being prepared for all of these things? We're going to cover, different badges, because there are different badges and they're different colors, and how to save money on that. There's also a conference and some other things going on. They've got a big networking event at the Santa Monica Pier. So you want to, make sure that you get your badge early, because it's cheaper when you get it now. So just be prepared. And know, guys, that, you're going to invest. That's the one big thing. I just wish more filmmakers understood that when you invest in going to an event like this and to go right, you're just increasing your chances of making your dreams come true, and living the life that you want to live. If you go and you don't really know what you're doing, it's hard to be successful at the market, because it is so big, because there's so much going on. And so, me and Ben are both, professionals who have been around for a long time, and we know how to, help filmmakers put together a package, put together a pitch, put together all the things that you need, and then help you start to get meetings set up and things like that. So we're going to do that. How to successfully, like I said, set up meetings, how to become a power networker, build your contacts fast. What's the inside of an AFM meeting look like? How to get them, and when to bail. How to get into one of those suites. What do you say? What's the first thing that comes out of your mouth so that you can get them to talk to you? All that stuff is really important. You can put your foot in your mouth if you say the wrong thing. So you want to make sure that you really know that. The keys to effective follow-up and deal closing. Another point on the deal closing is, if you're going to the market and looking for a deal, make sure that you have an attorney standing by. I've met so many filmmakers who said, this distributor wants to work with me. I got to go find an attorney now. And they go back a couple weeks late. It's too late. You got to seize the opportunity. So make sure that, you have an attorney of record, and there's little tricks that me and Ben can tell you about, so that you can have one. You don't have to put down a retainer, but that you can get a really good attorney to represent you for the market. So that's something that you really want to do. How to tell a good distribution deal from a bad one, because nowadays they have a lot of these 360 deals, and that's another reason to have an attorney. How to tell if your sales agent will screw you, which happens often. And we're also going to give you some awesome templates and bonuses. And then finally, we're going to work with each filmmaker on putting their package together, on making sure that they are ready for the market. So the cost for the 5 sessions is $499. We have a 2-pay plan, which is it $250? I think $250 or something like that. We'll let you know. It's on the order page, actually. And if you need a little bit more in terms of a payment plan, I know some people are really stretched, but you're buying your ticket for the market and everything, but you really, want to do this because you know that this is going to make all the difference. I say, don't think of it as spending money. Think of it investing in making your dreams come true. So, if you need a 4K or whatever, we can work with you. Our goal is really to help filmmakers. And so we want to make sure that, you get all the information, you get the help, you have everything together, you go there confident, and you actually are successful. That's great. So many first-time filmmakers go, and first, second, third-time filmmakers go, and nothing happens because they didn't know how to make it happen. And so that's what me and Ben are going to really be going over. We're going to have open office hours, which means, every week we're going to have our regular meeting, which is 2 hours or so, and then we'll have open office hours one day where you can actually call in and get some extra help. We are going to have a private group on Ben's new company page, which is called Production Next, which is amazing. And so that's going to be kind of our meeting spot, where it's kind of like a private Facebook page, but
with a lot more stuff.
Huh?
But with a lot more
actually
stuff.
It's more what?
The Production X group has a lot more stuff. It can let you ask and get questions answered. We can host documents there. We can you can post classifieds. I don't know why you would in this case. As well as videos and other stuff.
Well, that's why I was saying that we had the templates and bonuses already loaded into the group. So, once you join the intensive, you can go up there and get started and everything. We'll have an agenda for you guys. You'll know, what we're doing each week. And, oh gosh, I know this is crazy. When does it start? Oh my gosh, I don't have the date down.
I believe it's next Friday.
Okay,
Is it?
So
yeah,
it starts in a week.
Yeah.
So you guys, really think about getting in on this. Like I said, it's $499.95. There is a payment plan. They can go to. Why don't you give them the URL, Ben, where they can go to sign up? And like I said, there's 20 people. That's all we can do because it's a lot. It's intensive work. Really getting you straight with all of these things. Some of you are going to need to, work on your business plans and your marketing, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. But we're going to give you guys personalized attention to make sure that your project is ready for the market, and then also that you are targeting the right people for what you want to accomplish. That's really important. And Ben, more so than me, he knows a lot more people in terms of, what they do. I mean, I know a lot of people too, but it's a little bit different. He's the man. He's the American film market guy. So he'll really be able to help you with, who to go after to accomplish your goals. Who do you want on that hit list? Who do you want to make an appointment with to see? So if you guys, are really interested in making something happen, going to the market and being successful at it, you definitely want to sign up for this AFM Intensive. And the URL is, It's 4 weeks, matter of fact. Did I say that's 4 weeks? We meet once a week by phone. We're available for unlimited emails and messaging in the group. All that information is up on the page. You'll see that.
So
and I think, Ben, is your book is included or something? Is it?
Yeah, a PDF of my book is included, and the.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. And
is that already uploaded? Is that already uploaded into the group?
It is not as of right now, but it will be before the end of the weekend.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but and there's a couple of other things that are not there now, but will be before the end of the weekend. So yeah, the URL is theguerrillarep.com/AFM Intensive. Oh.
theguerrillarep.com/AFM Intensive.
And I will also be putting that in the links here and making a post of it on my Guerrilla Rep page. So.
And for everybody who signed up through Eventbrite, we'll be sending out a follow-up email, and that information will be in there as well. So,
as well as this
I
video.
hope you guys get one of those 20 spots if this is something you really want to do. In terms of financing, like I said, we've got a 2-pay plan, and if you want to get started, you just don't have the money right this second. We'll consider doing a 4-pay plan, put down $125 and then the rest later, so that you can get in. Because we understand money's tight sometimes, but and this is kind of out of the blue, but this is something that you want to do. This is about actually either selling your film, or getting financing, or getting distribution, or hooking up with the people that you need to hook up with. So this is really important, and we'd love to see you all there. And I think, we're not sure though, me and Ben will both be there, and we're going to try to put something together for the group, aren't we, Ben?
Yeah, we are. I might. I might not be there for the whole market, but.
I won't be there for the whole market either. But we're going to figure out a day for everybody to get get together so we'll be able to, meet you in person, answer questions, do all of that. We've got to figure out the logistics of that. And I'm thinking it might be better in the beginning so that, you're even more excited about the end of the market where you can get more stuff done. But we'll work on it. But that's a big thing. And I'm really excited about that. So again, it's theguerrillarep.com/AFM Intensive. If you need some help with financing, email me, Tanya at TanyaKersey.com. That's TANYA at Tanya Kersey, TANYAKERSEY.com. Or Ben, you want to give your email?
Ben at theguerrillarep.com. And, yeah.
Ben at theguerrillarep.com. So, reach out to us. The thing is, we want you to get in. If you want to get these things done, if you want to, get a sales agent, find distribution, find producing partners, do all of those kinds of things, this is the best opportunity every year. And there's like 30, 40,000 people there. I mean, this is where everybody comes together for the industry. So, you definitely want to be there. Definitely want to be there.
So yeah,
so you want to take questions?
I'm only seeing one question right now.
Oh, really? Let me see if
yeah.
questions.
Sarita wants to know, what about writers with scripts and not a film already done? If you're going with a script and not a completed film, your goal should be to establish relationships with sales agents and distributors, not to actually try to get much more than that done. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to find financing at AFM. It's really much more about distribution and marketing.
But that's really important. If you have a script, it's really about the networking then. You want to take it, you want to make sure that, you package everything really well so that, when you talk to people, you articulate what your project is about and get them excited about it. If you get all tongue-tied because you don't know what to say and how to say it, you've lost a great opportunity. So, yeah, if you have a script, and there's tons of filmmakers running around with scripts, so, you make it what you want to make it. If you do the intensive, we'll help you put together a game plan based on, what you need. Because everybody's different. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. And so you want to work with what you've got and then, let's help you with the other things and get some of them accomplished at AFM. So, yeah, if you're a writer or a filmmaker, I'm telling you guys, you need to go to AFM. You really do. It's your best shot of the year to do all the things that you want to do. And, it depends on who you are, what your credits are. If you're a beginner, if you're not, it doesn't matter. There's something for everybody at the market, really.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okie dokie.
Yeah. No, Siri.
No questions. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I think well, if you have any questions about it, we gave you our emails. You can email there. I'll also monitor this comment thread. If you have any questions, you can comment them on this video, and either Tanya or I will get back to you, depending on where you're watching it. And the
Audrey's getting ready to post a question for you.
Oh,
she's
okay.
Got a question on pages, so she said she's going to post it on my feed. So, did you guys enjoy this? Did you learn something? What were your takeaways? Let us know. It's the first time that me and Ben have partnered together, so we'd love to know what you think. We'll be sending out a survey as well to get your feedback. I've enjoyed doing this. I mean, this is what I love to do, is, to help filmmakers. So this is my great pleasure. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I do really enjoy talking about this stuff. It's something that I know a lot about, and it took me a while to learn it, but I'm happy to share the information I can. I was really lucky at AFM to have some veterans who were grooming me and teaching me what I needed to know, and I don't think everybody gets that. So it was only the information was given to me freely on the promise that I help spread it and help other people learn it too, which is why we're doing this free webinar. It's also why I wrote the book. So,
that was nice.
Yeah.
You see the question? She said, check the Gorilla Rap feed for a question.
Okay. I see one question here, which is from TM Sales Terry. You are correct. Those are the 5 things in the pitch. They wanted to know about what the pitch, what are the 5 things you need to relay in 10 seconds on the pitch. It is genre, stage of development, budget, attachment, and logline or synopsis. And
want to say them again, Ben? You want to say them again for people who didn't catch it?
Genre, stage of development, budget, attachments, and logline or synopsis. Yeah, we'll actually be doing some workshopping of that in the intensive itself to help you get your pitches ready, which that'll be some of the most valuable stuff we do.
It's great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all we have there. That's the only question I see. I don't see any other questions. Tanya, how long have you been going to AFM?
Boy. I've been going since the 90s when I ran a trade paper. I was a Hollywood journalist back in the day. And so I started going as the press and media, which was great because the first time I went, I was actually doing a story on AFM. It was crazy. That's why I'm so passionate about being prepared, because I was not prepared. And even as a journalist with a press badge, getting into all those suites and figuring everything out, I had no idea that I should have waited to the end, doing this and that. So it's been 20 years, I guess. It's been a long time. I don't go every year, but I really hope that we can do this intensive every year, and it becomes an annual thing, because I would love to. I mean, great meetings and great conference panels and workshops. They've got a financing conference. They've got a bunch of different stuff going on there. The schedule is crazy. It's AmericanFilmMarket.com if you want to go up and see what's there to offer. And even if you're not going to buy a badge, which I think you should, there's a lot you can accomplish there in terms of networking and all of those things. And I've even seen people set up appointments, say they're talking to people and say, I'm going to be at the market, and you hook up and you have lunch and you meet other people, and that's why really, in terms of your brand and in terms of really articulating your project and the value in your project and who your audience is, and why it's going to be a profitable film, because everybody wants that. There's certain things that you want to highlight. And that's really important. So many times filmmakers, they delve right into story, which is of course important, but you also have to have all the other parts to it. Story is great, but sometimes it's not just all everything that happens in the story. People are interested in the theme. What's the message you're trying to get across? There's so many different nuances in how you need to pitch your project and even talk about it just in conversation. And, that's one of the things that I'm really happy that me and Ben are on the same wavelength about, because we'll be really, delving into that and making sure that everybody, has got their pitch on, I guess is the best way to say it. Let's see, is that a question? One question. What about writers with scripts? Yeah, we got that. Are the intensive groups classes or one-on-ones? Yeah, it's 20 people. It's not a class per se. It's more like a mastermind group, I would say. Yeah, but it's a group. We meet online every week. We go through, obviously, all the curriculum, things that we want to talk about and tell you guys. And, when you have assignments, you got to get it done and prepare. For each of you, we're going to do a short one-on-one just to launch it so that we know. I like to, know who's in the group and know something about their script. But, we're going to help you guys make sure your log line's tight and your summary's tight. And, if you've got numbers that you want to take with you, or, look at your cast and just all of those things. The biggest challenge filmmakers have is knowing what they want, but not having people to bounce their ideas off of. And so this is a perfect opportunity for you to, take your project and get some professional eyes on it, and get to the market and see what you can do with it. So, just go for it, guys. You just got to go for it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think I am looking there. I didn't realize that the comment feed did not actually feed into this chat here, so that's on me. The best place to ask it is apparently the chat. Sorry, Facebook has changed their system since the last time I live streamed on them. But
it changes every day.
I know. It's kind of frustrating, but but yeah. So yeah, I think that's all of our questions. We are running up on our original end time, but we did get started about 10 minutes late. So I don't mind staying for 10 minutes. If I don't want to speak for Tanya, but I don't mind staying for 10 minutes if there are questions.
Questions.
Yeah.
We want to answer. We want to help you guys. So, ask away. Okay, and let me just remind you guys, the website to register for the intensive is the Guerrilla Media Rep. Is that it? .com?
Just the Guerrilla
Rep.
I'm just gonna drop that in the chat.
Okay, theguerrillarep.com/AFM Intensive. That's where you go to register for the intensive. And like I said, it's 20 people only. Ben has got a fantastic website. It's like a whole project management suite for independent filmmakers. I was up there yesterday and just blown away. It's fantastic. It's called Production Next, N-E-X-T. You guys need to go and register for that. And I have a private Facebook page called Breakthrough Filmmaker Success Support Group, which is a free group. And I also have a Black filmmakers group on Production Next. So there's a couple of different places you can talk to us, and we'll also include that in the follow-up email. If you just came on the live feed and you didn't go through Eventbrite, let's see. You can send us your email. I guess that's good, and we'll make sure you get on the list. So if you're just on the live feed and you didn't go through Eventbrite, if you don't have your email, just email it to us, or send it, email it to us. Tanya@TanyaKersey.com is good, and we'll make sure we get it onto the list, and you'll get all the follow-up stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we'll also,
Is that the bell?
No, that was my wife telling me she's on her way home. But
and Ben's a newlywed, so let's say yay for Ben.
But so yeah. Also, you can direct message me at on the Guerrilla Rep page. If you do that, nobody else will see it, and I'll add it to the list. And yeah. So.
Oh yeah, and you can go to Tanya Kersey fan page. It's facebook.com/Tanya Kersey fan page. That's another way that you can reach out to us.
So yeah, that is. I think I'm not seeing any more questions. So I think at this point we can call it. If anybody has more questions, please don't hesitate. I'll be monitoring at least. I'm in a 5-hour intensive tomorrow that I'm proctoring on packaging. So I won't be able to respond then. But if you respond on all of this, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I think Tanya will also be monitoring too. So
yes, I'll be around. So just reach out to me.
Yeah.
It's been great, guys. It's really weird the way we do this, because it's like we can't see you guys, so it's kind of weird because I don't see the interaction. So I've never done it like this before. This is kind of a new way of doing it for us, and it's been interesting.
I will say
I hope that we got across to everybody.
I will say it's much, much easier to do this with somebody else than it is to do it on your own. Because I've done these alone, doing Production Next demos. It's rough, but it's way easier when you have somebody to talk to and somebody to bounce off of.
Yeah, this has been great. We're going to do some more of this stuff, because me and Ben are really on the same wavelength in terms of what we do and what our passion is in terms of helping filmmakers. I specialize obviously in Black filmmakers. That's just kind of the niche that I fell into. But my clients are of all colors, races, religions. But yeah, I really like working with Ben. So I'm sure we're going to come up with some other things to do.
Yeah, we also just got a question in. She sent it, or they sent it privately to my group page. So an example of an indie filmmaker success story from the market. Well, I'm kind of one. When I started, I didn't really, I had nothing. I went to the market with, I think 2 scripts and some really bad postcards, and I didn't get much done. The next year I went again with 3 scripts this time and some better postcards. And I got a distribution deal, and I levied that to attach someone from Twilight Eclipse to star in it. And then I, as well as someone from Babylon 5, and we ended up getting close to raising some money, but a couple things fell through last minute. By that I mean don't do business with your significant other. It's a bad idea. And then the following year, I went with 3 different projects in a newly formed company. We got a lot of stuff done. I ended up going in with a LOI for one film, and I think we ended up with something like 30 meetings about the other 2 films and some very serious interest, to the point that other people were actually chasing me for in-development projects because of because of how aggressively we're shopping it and selling it well. And then the following year was my first as a producer's rep. I went in with 5 completed films that I acquired, and I walked out with, I think, 63 screener requests. And I could go on for that. The following year I started going as an exhibitor, and then, yeah, that's kind of it. One of the biggest things...
And then he wrote the book.
I wrote the book after the 4th year, I think. I think that sounds right, yeah.
And so the person that answered that question, don't get overwhelmed by the already established industry veterans. The only reason that is because they get a press. Everyone's talking about them. I mean, obviously, it's a market. So, all the news that comes out of the market is like in the trades. It's in Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, but it's not really overwhelming by them at all. You'd be surprised. I mean, it's a very open and accessible market if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, forget it. But if you know what you're doing, you can actually get things done and be successful at it. And that's what we want from you guys, to go and be successful,
So,
knowing what you
want. So somebody ended up asking about whether the scripts I went with were ones I wrote or ones I optioned. It's kind of neither. They were written by production partners. I didn't write them, I was the producer. But, yeah. So, that is... I think that's it. Unless we have any more questions, we'd be happy to take these questions in your... unless there's another one that comes in like the next couple minutes, I think we got to get going, because I have some stuff I've got to do. So, yeah.
So I'm
Thank you all so
excited
much
to
for
see who
doing.
signs up for the intensive. Really, really looking forward to doing this, and I promise you guys, that, who signs up, it will be well worth your investment and your time, and it will take you as a filmmaker to another level because you'll come at it from a different perspective, which will put you ahead of the game. So really think seriously about it and making that investment and just going for it. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I just really want people to, sign up and to come because this is what we love to do.
Somebody asked if we want to have, this is a very good question, so we should answer it. Is it okay just to have a sizzle reel or a trailer if you're in post? You should definitely have a trailer, and it should be a good trailer.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah.
Good trailer.
And I wouldn't use a sizzle reel on a feature, and I wouldn't shop television series at AFM. So I would wait till NAPD to do that, and then do them there.
NAPD is in Miami in January, so that's the big TV cable market. So, and it's now the lines are so blurred because it's content, which is why I think you should go to AFM and to NAPD. Because content, you can, when you do a movie, you want to sell the rights to it, so you want to chop it up into 22 minutes or whatever it is, depending on the length of the show. You want to be able to use it in different ways. So it's really important, I think, to go to both of them. They're different slants to them, but you want to sell to TV as well. If you've got a film, you want it to be on cable, and if it's content, you can always go in and make it what you want to make it. So these days, the lines are really blurred, I think. I see so many filmmakers at NAPD now that I didn't see before. And that's a great event to go to. Really, really good.
Cool. So yeah, I just want to make sure we're done with the flurry of questions that just came in, but I don't think we're going to take any new ones after this. Just, we'll still answer that. We won't answer them on the live stream, but we'll answer them on comments.
Right. But we're going to have a replay of this up as well, right?
Yeah, we will. This should be up automatically. So yeah. This person ended up finding us. Sorry about that, Sarita. We did have some technical difficulties with the sound. That's why we had to start it over. The replay will be live. So yeah. Yeah, the replay will be available. So yeah. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. So we will see you again, and hopefully we'll see many of you in the intensive starting next week.
Sounds
good. Good night.
Bye. Bye.